and no, why is it there? And in fact, it's been around for more than 20 years, so it's only catching up in South Africa now. In the States, it's actually quite popular. If you're not in an agile environment, people think you're old school. Having said that, you've got General Electric that doesn't do agile, but you've got Ford that does, and you've got John Deere that does. So it's interesting that it's not necessarily IT companies only. In fact, more and more so, not IT companies, which I really enjoy, because that's how we manage our way of work. We're going to talk about the business of Agile. Where's your company? Because you have to have an environment that you facilitate this into, and you will hear I did not use the word implement this into, because you implement a project, you facilitate a way of being with people. So we find that things change so rapidly, and we don't necessarily respond to them that well. Now, if I was at, what's the place? Coffee shop close to Exclusive Books. I want to say Starbucks, but it's not. Anyway, Seattle. And they have this little bowl, this silver little bowl, with a little sticker in it that says, "If change scares you, leave it here." I took a picture and I thought, it's so human. If change scares you, leave it here. And that's what we do. We leave it here. We don't go anywhere with it. Or we go to change is okay as long as I initiate it and it comes in the way that I like it and I can work with it. So I can do change as long as it's come in my package. And we are all like that. So there's no one that's exempted from that. And what the guys did in 1991 is they went to a Snowbird meeting, and it was a whole bunch of engineers, and they said, what works in projects? What is it that works? And granted, they were all a bunch of IT guys, but ironically, everything they came up with is just life. Are you willing to change? Do you want to learn? And are you happy to respond? So when we talk about our business, specifically non-IT business, do we know what is the highest business value for our business? Do we know? Because I often go to clients and I go like, so what's your highest business value item? They go like, what do you mean? And that's a really loaded question, because it doesn't necessarily always mean bottom line. You're not necessarily going to focus on the thing that's going to make you most money. Business value could be, am I growing my company? Am I mitigating risk? Am I changing or reforming? What is going to add the best value to my business right now? And when you've just started and your business is 6 weeks old, and you are in a business that's 6 years old, or you're in a business that's 60 years old, then business value looks different for that business. And I find the bigger the organization becomes, the harder it is to establish what true business value is. Now, where Agile makes things completely different, we say true business value is in the hands of the customer. Thank you very much. True business value is in the hands of the customer. And if you're in a big organization, we talk about internal clients and external clients and those type of things. But at the end of the day, who is your true client? Because if you know who your client is that's using your product, that's where your business value lies. Am I making sense? So whether you run or not enjoying the way the paperwork goes, change it there. Because if you've put your letterhead and everything on everything, it's really expensive to change it after all. I'm using a very silly example, but it's just real. So the quicker we change, which means we have to acknowledge that we might be on the wrong path, So I want to talk to you about the human mind. We rate success as the picture we have in our mind. And if it doesn't look like that picture, we regard it as failure, not in a learning way, in a failing way. So if we could hold that picture of the future slightly more light, saggies, you can hold the picture just slightly more gentle, there could be a way to maneuver that acknowledges that we can change the gears. Did that land? So we're very attached to what the outcome needs to look like, and therefore we're unwilling to change, because what if we get it wrong? The human psyche, we've been taught from school, you get it wrong and therefore you will fail. So going into agility mindset of embrace failure because that's the way you learn, it's kind of like counterintuitive from yay days. So it might be simple regularly. That's why we get stand-ups. We'll talk about that a little bit later. That's why we do stand-ups once a day. Where are you? What's your mindset? What did I do yesterday? What am I doing today? What's standing in my way? How can we support you? So for those of you who are in relationships, none. Oh, word. It's a question. You will find, whether it's a relationship with a spouse or with a teenager specifically, the less you talk, the bigger the molehills become. You know those things that you put underneath the carpet? Or you're just too busy, you walk past each other in the corridor and all those type of things. And then all of a sudden a really small thing is the big thing, because that didn't happen. There wasn't continued. We call it a short feedback loop. You didn't give feedback. And that's practice, guys, that's practice. From an IT perspective, I'm going to make a huge generalization. You normally have super bright, introverted technical guys. And now you want them to stand in the room and tell everyone what they've done. Be gentle. They're also learning. And they talk to the board instead of talking to each other. It is a communication tool, right? So that, if we can just get that right, or if you could just get it half right, you'll see how things change. About that. One of the first things to understand is, do we know who our customer is? And often the customer is the one that can help you with making decisions. You will see that we have these feedback sheets. We do them because we want your feedback, so that we can change and grow. And often surveys aren't that great. But if you at least get 10% back of your survey, it's somewhere to go to. And then, so these things are the things that's the guts of Agile, really. And can you see that that's got nothing to do with IT or non-IT? In fact, you'll see that one of the biggest things the team needs is discipline. Because the thing you do most in Agile is you plan. And then you plan again. And then you plan some more, and then you plan some more. And people go like, no, you need so much discipline to plan and replan and stay focused and deliver what you need to deliver. That's a discipline that some teams, the discipline of discipline is something that teams might learn at some point. And give them the process to do so. So you prep and analyze the agreed work. In Scrum it's called grooming. In other places it's called ripening. In other places it's called analysis. You can't start working on a piece of work if you haven't thought about it. That's basically what it says. Think about the work you want to do and put them in the priority that your business value is the highest. Sometimes if you work for a bank, then mitigating risk is what's going to be your highest business value, specifically if there's a new act or something coming along. So it might not always be sexy and funky. It might be stuff you actually just need to do. Then you plan. So this is, never start a sprint or an iteration on a Monday, or a Friday for that matter. It just doesn't work that productive, because there's public holidays and people go on leave, and Monday is always an interesting day. So I would suggest this is a Tuesday or a Wednesday. Then you plan with your team. And you plan to the granular level of, this task is going to take me so long, and you have an anticipated time and an actual time. And why do you have that? Because I always speak to the guys and they say, no, it's going to take 2 hours. I'm like, okay, right? What if it doesn't work? What if you run into a snag? What if there's a bug? That might take 4 hours. So you start learning. Again, you want to adapt, continuously adapt. Say, I thought it was going to take this long, but it took this long. Because I had interrupting things, or I had things that I didn't plan for. And things we didn't plan for comes along regularly. So it's called planning in most methodologies, it's called planning. Then you actually, and I often have to say to people, these things, they are work. Because they go to me like, can I just finish my meeting so that I can go to work? Like, this is work. Because if you don't get this right, then the actual work activity is of a lesser quality. So this is work. And that's something, a mind shift, because some companies have got cultures. I've got meetings for the sake of meetings for the sake of meetings. So this is This is work. So you can call them ceremonies, you can call them work sessions, you can call them whatever you want, whatever your team can hear, as long as they know that there's an output. And then for a period of time, you work collaborative, and then every single day, you meet for ideally only 15 minutes. And you go like, what did I do today? What did I do yesterday? What am I doing today? And what's standing in my way? In other words, can you help me? And often you have to listen to the things that's not being said, because the team in communication has to learn to go like, I'm waiting for the supplier, but he's actually on leave. And so you start doing the impact of the work being done. It sounds like common sense, but I've found that common sense isn't that common always. So we do things to help us. And you do this every day for 15 minutes, and you talk to each other. And when there's really difficult conversations to have, and if I say technical, I don't mean IT technical, it could be a product, it could be HR, it could be marketing. You take it offline and you have the detailed discussion. But when you walk away, you are in sync with your team. It's not a reporting conversation, it's a communicating conversation. And when you trust each other, because everyone looks at your work, it's visualized on the board. There we go, oh guys, I'm behind, I need help. Rather than I'm not going to tell anyone because they might find out. No, guys, I'm struggling, help me. Because that gives the other guy the permission to do that next week. Right. Can you hear the word trust? If something really big happens, like a restructure or a strategic change, or you've got a new leader, you might want to, in the middle of the iteration, go like, oh, we're not going to make our goals, we might have to change them. But then the team is of a common understanding that that's changing. What I like most about this is that, so if this is Tuesday, ideally this can be Wednesday, because then this is Monday, Tuesday, the day before. If you start the iteration on a Wednesday, you end it on a Tuesday. What is the nicest about this, in the beginning it's a bit like nerve-wracking, but I call it the bragging session. What have we achieved in the last 2 weeks? There's nothing that to get the endorphins going and the happiness, like, look what we've done. And the more you do it, the more you actually deliver on what you promise. My 7-year-old is like crazy about ice cream, and she can't say roomys, she says roomys. So if you promise the ice cream after lunch and you don't get that 7-year-old is broken. If you promise your business colleague that you're going to deliver something and you don't, their heart's also broken at 37, they just hide it there. That's all. So, and if we talk about them, talk to them regularly, they're not surprised and they understand, and in fact they could support you to get it done. Lots of conversation that is of high quality. So you demonstrate what you've done, and then what we do is we call a retrospective. We look at the last 2 weeks and go, all right, what did we do that knocked the lights out? What did we do that we can do better? What's our focus for the next 2 weeks? And you do that every 2 weeks. If you do Kanban, you call it Kanban with cadence, because it's more task-orientated rolling of activities, but you still stop and breathe and go, what can we do better? All right. You can go research Kanban, we can actually have a nice talk about that as well. Kanban is more used for the business side or an operational side where there's a constant throughput of activities.